to receive the richness of God's love given for you. Have you ever walked away from it all? The pain was too much, the disappointment too great, and the broken pieces of the dream were just swirling around you. And by God, you had tried your best. You didn't want to walk away. You loved with your whole heart. You had faith in the process, and you hoped for the best, and you did all you could. And in the end, it all came to a crashing end that you never saw coming. This Sunday's gospel is for folks who missed Easter. And I don't mean whether you were here in this building 2 weeks ago. But it's for those for whom the joy, the experience of the risen Christ seemed to pass by Easter. This Sunday's gospel is for those who aren't with us this morning, or maybe are physically here, but your heart can't quite be here, because you had to walk away, back to where you came from, trying to make sense of a world that doesn't. In the gospel story I read, it takes place on Easter night, and these two travelers were on the road that left Jerusalem, left the events that turned their world upside down. They left the disciples, who all fled when things got too hot, left the cross that killed their leader, their friend, their only source of hope in a dark world. Now last Sunday we heard about Thomas, who wasn't there the first time Jesus appeared to the disciples, but later he was, and even in his doubt he stuck close to the community, to his fellow believers, even if he was still working out his faith. But these two believers, they weren't in that room. They packed their bags and they got out of Dodge, ready to go anywhere but Jerusalem, because that city held too much pain, too much disappointment. They missed Easter. Maybe you did too. And if you did, this is your story. These two guys felt that they had to walk away from their faith community, from what they believed about this Jesus and how they thought about the world. So Jesus makes a decision to meet these two wherever they were and whoever they were on their journey of faith. Right smack in the middle of the pain and frustration that threatened to overwhelm them, even though they didn't recognize Jesus. Jesus does this remarkable thing. He doesn't wait for them to come back to Jerusalem or wait for them to get home to Emmaus. He meets them right where they were, which pretty much is the middle of nowhere between Jerusalem and Emmaus. And when he shows up, he opens up to them the Bible, and he talks with them about it, showing them how to make sense of it all through the lens of the cross. Now later, when the three of them get to Emmaus, Jesus pretends like he's going to keep walking, and then to invite Jesus to come and stay with them. We don't know why exactly. Maybe they wanted to hear more about what he had to say, or maybe they just wanted to offer hospitality to the stranger. Or maybe there was something so rare, so intriguing, so life-giving about the stranger that they couldn't bear to say goodbye, not yet. Not before sitting down and eating together. So when Jesus is invited, he never turns down such an offer. Same is true today. And I wish I could have been there. When Jesus blessed and broke the bread, and in that moment the light bulb went off, or better yet, the fire flamed up in their hearts. And it was in this action that he gave his identity away. It was in this blessing of the ordinary, and in the breaking so that everybody could have enough, that they realized Jesus was there. I wish I had been there. But then again, I think I have an idea. Because we do the same thing every week. Flemington is not Emmaus, and there are more than two of us at the table. But in that moment, when we come to Christ's table, after walking all week our different roads, filled with trials and opportunities, filled with times of faithlessness and sin, to receive what is given in such love and forgiveness, my heart burns a little too when I realize what's happening. After the eye-opening meal, and they realize it's Jesus in front of them, and then Jesus is gone, the two of them realize that they have to be gone too. And after spending all day trudging 7 miles, they run the 7 miles back to Jerusalem. You could not have stopped them if you tried. Their hearts were on fire with this experience of the risen Christ who came to them, not with words of judgment or revenge or violence, these words of peace and teaching and giving. And these travelers could do nothing back but go to the rest of the disciples and give them the story. That because of their experience on the road, the rest of them, the rest of us, can be sure that as the day is long, the risen Christ is out there, ready to meet us on our roads, even when we don't recognize it's him. Maybe we don't recognize it's him because all we see is the coworker, or our spouse of 20 years, or a child who hasn't darkened the door of a church in forever, or the complete stranger in the grocery store, or the neighbor that we help that we never actually get to see. We don't recognize Jesus in front of us because he never quite looks the way we think. Mother Teresa once said that every single one of them is Jesus in disguise. But once we catch a glimpse of the risen Christ, we find ourselves running back to the places of pain, of isolation, of things that confuse us, places where fear lives. And we come back with this message, not that all those things go away, but that Jesus is alive and with us in those places. And we bring a bit of the kingdom of God with us, that love wins. Fear, injustice, hunger, homophobia, racism, violence, all those things wrong are ways in life. And Jesus promises to meet us and be with us on those roads, showing us that love is greater than all of that, and empowering us to live out that message as we travel wherever the Spirit takes us next. Christ is risen.
Christ is risen.